Let's wrap up 2024. Hi, I'm a music teacher, and this is my life. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and thank you so much for being here for my last video of 2024. If you're watching this on the day that it's being uploaded, then that means it is New Year's Eve, which is a very exciting time for so many of us. I often find it really helpful to take a look back at the year, how things have gone, and think about and reflect on things that I've accomplished, maybe things that I didn't accomplish and didn't go according to plan, and how I can try and plan for this next year of 2025. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing exactly that. But before I get started, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you stay up to date on all future videos. So to give you all a little bit of context here, I have 3 different jobs, all of which are teaching. One is as a high school teacher where I'm actually not teaching music currently, but my other 2 jobs are music teacher jobs. My second is as a junior choir director at my church, which is a vocal music teaching job. And finally, I also teach private music lessons where I'm currently teaching woodwind instruments. So that's a little bit about what I've been up to this year in my teaching career. So let's start with accomplishments because it's always nice to start things off on a positive note. So at the beginning of this year, I was a 50% permanent teacher, meaning that I had exactly half of what a full-time high school teacher's workload would be. But since then, I was actually able to increase it up to 67% or 2/3. For part of this semester, actually, from September and October in 2024, it was temporary work, but I was actually able to change that as of November 1st to be a permanent percentage. So basically, all totaled up, I am 2/3 permanent with the school board, which is an increase from being just half-time. I think another accomplishment, and this is one key takeaway that I can take with me from 2024, was that I got over the fear of having never taught a certain course before. Right now I'm teaching history, which I have never taught before. I loved learning it as a student, but in all of my years of teaching, I've only ever had to substitute teach history. I never once had an LTO, which is a long-term occasional work, where I had to teach it, but in my permanent position now, they needed a history teacher and they put me in for it, and I've never taught it before. And I was very, very worried about how things were going to go. But I've definitely been able to settle into this. And now that I'm 4 months into 5 months of a semester, it's safe to say that I feel a lot more comfortable teaching history. Has everything gone perfectly? No. There are a few things that I would change timing-wise and detail-wise and certain lesson plans. But the first time you teach a new course is scary and it's never perfect. So I've definitely been able to accomplish getting over that fear. And I can take those little lessons that I've learned about how I like to teach it and mark things and all of that with me into the next time I teach it, which at least right now is planned for next semester. Another accomplishment that I had was that in June of this year, I finished my first choir season or year of choir as a junior choir director at my church. The first year of any new job can be really challenging because everything is new. You haven't gone through that full year, all of the different seasons. And particularly in the world of church, the reality is that there are different liturgical seasons and there are a lot of different songs that the kids are preparing, and I need to make sure that they're ready for all of that, including some of the larger celebrations, like for example, Christmas Eve, where for the family service, the junior choir is the only choir there because the senior choir only sings at the adult service, which is later at night. And then, of course, things like Easter, when a lot of people show up to church, and typically it's full of people who maybe aren't regular church attendees. But I definitely settled in and started to feel a lot more confident, where there's still a few bumps in the road at the beginning of my second season or year in September. Absolutely, but I've been able to get a lot more confidence in terms of my decision making and problem solving when things come up. And for a little bit more context here, similar to a school year, our choir seasons start with the kids in September and end typically in like late May or early June. I try to stop that season at the end of May or early June so that the kids can really focus at the end of the school year, especially the high school students who are working on their exams or final summatives and things like that. And also, our church gets really hot in June, even if the AC is on. So if they don't need to sing with robes on, then we'll definitely take that time off. And also, June, July, and August, there aren't really that many big religious holidays in the church. So it's easier to say that that will be our off time as well. I think another reason why I'm really proud of this as well is because as a junior choir director of a church, the reality is that pretty much everything I do in my job is in front of other people. In rehearsal, I don't just have the kids, but their parents can watch anytime, whether it's for part of or all of a rehearsal. I have the band members with me. There was one week where my boss, the priest at the church, decided to pop in and listen to a rehearsal as well. And then, of course, every time they sing as part of a worship service, it's in front of the congregation, the priest, the band, their parents, everyone who's live streaming it on YouTube. And so sometimes it can feel like there's a lot of pressure, but I've started to feel a lot more confident, and it makes me feel really good when I hear positive feedback as well. So I think that's a big accomplishment that I can take with me into 2025. And another accomplishment is that I started teaching private music lessons again, which is so nice. I had to take a little bit of a break this year because I actually moved at the end of May from one part of town to another. But to be able to start teaching music lessons is really great. It's a highlight of my week. And right now I'm teaching private saxophone lessons to a beginner saxophone student. And it's so great to see her. And she's really excited to learn and play new music. And she accepts feedback really well. She looks forward to lessons. I look forward to lessons. And the family is just wonderful as well. So it's great to have an engaged student who really likes lessons and looks forward to coming and playing and learning new things. And also to have supportive parents who plan ahead. And anytime something comes up, they let me know well in advance. And I do the same. So it's been great, especially since I'm not teaching music in high school right now. So to be able to teach music in my other two jobs is really fulfilling. A little bit of a bonus accomplishment is that at the end of this year, I actually enrolled in what's called an additional qualification course. So since I am in my second year as a permanent teacher at my school board, they have what's called the new teacher induction program. And so this year, my school board sent out an email saying that they would reimburse us up to $500 if we were to enroll in and successfully complete an additional qualification course. And the great news was that I successfully completed my course. So I enrolled in the teaching students with communication needs, particularly ASD, and I took that online through Lakehead University. So I'm really excited to say that I passed the course successfully, which is great because it wrapped up right around the same time that the school year wrapped up at the end of December before our break. So it was a little hectic in that last week because that was happening at the same time as me getting the junior choir ready for Christmas Eve and also finishing up my history class right before the break. But it all went smoothly, and I'm so happy about that. And the last accomplishment that I'm going to talk about today, while it may seem small to some, is the fact that I started this YouTube channel this year. I posted my very first video back on March 11th, and the channel has actually grown, even though it's very small right now. I'm still so grateful for all of you for being here. I knew for a while that I wanted to start a YouTube channel, but there are a lot of factors that you have to think about first, right? What is your content going to be about, and who is your target audience, and how competitive is that space, or is it competitive, right? Some different niche audiences on YouTube are just so oversaturated. There are so many content creators in so many different categories, things like makeup and finances and fitness and you name it. There are so many different audiences out there, so many different content creators. And I know I'm not the only person out there who's making teacher-related content or music-related content, but I'm really excited and happy with how this channel has grown. And I'm pretty proud of the fact that I've been posting pretty consistently, with the exception of times in the year, for example, like when I took a little break at the end of summer school, at the end of July and early August. And at the very end of the school session in December, when I got sick, I did take a little bit of downtime off to try and get better, as well as spend time with family over the last few days, took a little road trip. But I'm really proud of the way that I've been able to be consistent with this channel, and I hope that you all find these things helpful and it's great to have so many of you here so that we can all be learners, teachers, and musicians together. And the other part of this too is that I do everything for this channel myself. I record the videos, I take photos for the thumbnail, edit those thumbnails, edit the videos, I post them and schedule them to YouTube on my own. I manage the Instagram account, and that's on top of having 2 other jobs. So it's really busy, but I'm so thankful to have this place where I can share with all of you, and I am so, so grateful that all of you are here. So I'm pretty proud of that, and thank you all so much for being here. Couldn't do it without you guys. While there have been accomplishments, if I'm honest, there are a few things that I didn't accomplish this year. I'm going to talk about 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, because it's important that if we're going to focus on the accomplishments, the things that went well, we need to be realistic and understand that not everything always goes according to plan. So here's what I didn't accomplish in 2024. Of course, one of my goals for this year was that hopefully I would be able to go not from 50% to 67% permanent work, but to be a full-time permanent teacher with my school board. That did not end up happening this year. So while I did increase my contract, am I a permanent and full-time teacher yet? No. Another thing that I didn't accomplish this year was the fact that I'm not teaching any music with my school board. Rarely do I see any music-related jobs actually posted on the job board, and the very few that I interviewed for ended up going to one of the other applicants. And of course, you don't want to read in too much to that, because I did interview for it, which means that I was one of the top candidates who applied, but it did end up going to another candidate, and I know the person who got the job. Happy for her, but it does sting a little bit that I didn't get that job. But it's a little tough to get those music jobs, especially coming out of the pandemic. A lot of those programs are still growing. So the reality is I'm still not a music teacher in my main career, where my biggest employer, the school board where I work, doesn't have me teaching music. And the last thing I'm going to talk about that I didn't accomplish were some personal goals. The reason why I'm lumping in some personal goals like this all together was because I actually moved at the end of May. And prior to moving, at my old apartment, I had all of the goals that I wrote down for 2024 for myself posted on the fridge. And where that went, I have no idea, whether it got thrown out or lost during the move. I just didn't hit all of the personal goals on that list because, to be honest, I don't remember what all of them were. But what I do like to do is write down my goals for the entire year down on a piece of paper, checklist style. So I'll have like little boxes going down the page. And then next to it, I'm going to write down what that goal is. So whether it's a goal related to my career or a goal related to my finances or just a personal goal, whether it's health related or, relationship related, whatever that might be, I like to have it in a checklist format on the fridge or freezer, because then I see it multiple times a day, so I can't forget what they were. And also I can easily track my progress by putting a check mark next to each goal. So I'm definitely going to need to do that, but I know that I didn't accomplish all of those personal goals. Things like learning certain pieces of music that I wanted to learn, or reading a certain number of books this year, or hitting some of my financial milestones, but I'm going to make sure that I make some changes for 2025. So if you're watching this on upload day, tomorrow is 2025. So how am I going to plan for 2025? What are my intentions going to be? Let's talk about it. One thing I'm going to be doing in 2025 is continuing to look for more music-related job postings, whether that is a long-term occasional job, which is like long-term but temporary, or a permanent contract position. I know that I need to sort of bump up my resume when it comes to my music teaching experience, because when I think about it, the majority of my music teaching experience is actually outside of the school board. And the only experiences that I've had teaching music during my time at the school board and with them was once during online night school, but it was in the first year of the pandemic. We did sort of a virtual AMR repertoire course. So I co-taught that with another teacher from a different school. And then also the very first year of the pandemic, when everything was shut down and we had to teach online as part of the regular day school program, so between September and June, I taught a grade 11 music course. But other than those 2 times, I have not taught music with the school board. So I know that I need to increase that on my resume. And so looking for those LTOs or contracts is going to be one of the best ways that I can do that. And when I think about teaching music, I know that the second thing I need to focus on is building up some of my musical abilities, specifically with learning and practicing piano more. If you don't already know this, my best instruments are flute, piccolo, and probably singing. I'm not a classically trained singer, but I can sing. I play a little bit of alto saxophone, probably up to like a high school level, but flute is what I'm trained in classically. But I know that I need to get better at learning and playing piano because my experience last year of trying to direct a high school choir, I know that there's no accompanist. Either you're it or you need to fundraise to hire one for performances. So to be more confident and skilled at the piano is going to serve me better when I'm trying to lead effective warm-ups and rehearsals, and that's not going to happen on its own. So I definitely need to make sure that I am practicing more piano this year. And the second thing I'd like to do is play flute more often outside of church. If you don't already know this about me, I am part of the band at my church where I play flute on a weekly basis as part of the worship and service. But outside of my church, I play pretty much no flute. So I'd love to be able to play that more on my own time. Actually, this past year and the year before, I started listening to a lot of the Reinecke Concerto, and I actually started learning it. But then, of course, life happened and I moved, and then I was full-time this semester and things have been crazy busy. So I need to make sure that I'm more intentional about how I use my time because I want to be able to learn the Reinecke Concerto. It's a beautiful piece of music. I bought it to learn and it's just been sitting not getting learned. So I am definitely going to focus on the first movement since I sort of already learned it, but I know I'm going to have to start back again at the beginning. But I want to be able to spend more time learning and playing music, both on piano and flute. And of course, to be able to do those things, something else that I need to do in 2025 is to organize my time better. I've talked before about my favorite day planner, which is the teacher planner, and I can link a video in the description below where I talk about some of my favorite school supplies, but that's definitely one of them. I really like using my teacher planner to help manage my time, or also the calendar that I have up in my kitchen. Call me old school, but I actually prefer writing things down in a planner on pen and paper. If I put everything in my phone, it's just going to be a big jumbled mess between my personal calendar and my work calendar. And also if my phone dies, then I have no access to any of that. So I want to be more intentional with how I organize my time. So I'm definitely going to be using my calendar and my teacher planner to do that. And this way it'll be a lot easier to balance the time that I spend between things that I enjoy doing in my leisure time and things that I want to do to build my skill set and focus on my goals. And of course, the last thing that I need to focus on is to continue to brainstorm ideas for videos for this channel. I'd like to stay consistent with that either weekly or most of the time weekly schedule. So feel free to let me know in the comments below what kinds of videos you would like to see in the new year here on this channel. So that's it for 2024. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas time or holiday season, whether you're spending it with family, with friends, with loved ones, or on your own. And I'm so excited for a fresh start, and I know that 2025 will be just that. So thank you all so much for being here this year. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you can come along this journey with me into 2025, into the new year. And again, let me know in the comments what kinds of videos you'd like to see, or let me know in the comments what some of your goals for the new year are. And I cannot wait to read them. Be sure to follow us on Instagram as well. And with that all being said, I'm so excited to see you in the new year. I'll see you right back on this channel with a brand new video in 2025. Bye.